Hey everybody, this is Guile, and this is Injustice 2 Online episode 36, I believe, and this is the final episode. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my overall thoughts of Injustice 2, and then what I'm looking forward to for the Injustice series in the future. So, first things first with Injustice 2, I'm going to start with some of the stuff I didn't like about the game. I think overall, the presentation of Injustice 2 was very, very good, but there's a huge elephant in the room. Injustice 2 had a very big problem when it came to the spectators. I think it's probably safe to say that Injustice is not the most exciting fighting game to watch. I mean, if you look at something like Dragon Ball FighterZ, or actually even Street Fighter V, these games are so much more exciting. There's so much more that seems to be happening in 1 second of time than in the Injustice series. The Injustice series is a far slower game in a sense. It's a little bit more deliberate, whereas you'll have these other games, which I shouldn't say that those other games are not deliberate. They're certainly not random, but the pace, the actions per second are far higher in other games. I think it's very fair to say. The Injustice series is very much reliant on decision making, a little bit more so than speed. And I think that's very apparent. On the spectating side of it though, that's not always very fun to watch. It's very fun to watch something like Dragon Ball FighterZ, where you have got characters, moving all around the screen. You've got assists coming in and beams lighting up here and there, and then somebody lands a hit that does, 50% damage into a knockdown into, this freaking crazy guessing game, which then leads into death if they guess wrong, and there's high stakes just right then and there. So it's very entertaining from a spectator point of view as well. From the player's point of view, it's very fun too. And I think for Injustice players are happy playing the game for the most part. I think that Injustice players appreciate high-level Injustice gameplay, and I think that they are enjoying the game as they're playing it. But it's not a massive appeal to everyone, and I would like to see a little bit more entertainment factor brought into the Injustice games, but I don't want that to change the way that Injustice is played. I think it's definitely a negative. The game just doesn't entertain people the same way that a lot of other fighting games do. I don't know how that would be addressed, other than trying to make moves a little bit flashier. Maybe changing the color palette of the game, because as you're seeing, the colors of the game are very, very dark. It's a very serious tone, and that's totally fine. There's not a problem with that. But if we want the game to grow, if we want people to, support the game, and we want, big numbers for it, and we want it to, continue to do well, I think that always having that dark color palette, that super serious tone all the time, actually probably holds it back quite a bit. Moving on, another negative about Injustice 2 for me would be its mechanics. There are two main mechanics that I thought were big missteps. The first one was the air escape, and then the second one was the meter burn roll. Both of these things, to me, are designed to bridge a gap. And it's more so to bridge the gap between the offensive player, or the player who's winning, and the passive player, or the player who's losing. The meter burn roll is a very big tool for people who don't want to have to deal with zoning. And unfortunately, the 1 bar requirement for it, I don't think is really enough to justify just how good the meter burn roll can be. I honestly think that it's fine to have zoning in the game, and I think that people just need to have an opportunity to get better at dealing with it. You know, I've played people who have zoned me out dang near the entire freaking game, or the entire game, and, you know, yeah, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, you know, when you couldn't get through it. But at the end of the day, would I just want every game to be two walruses slamming into each other? No, I wouldn't. So I think it's okay to allow different styles of play to have their time, you know, and I think the Meteor Bird role kind of works against allowing that kind of play to have its time. Another thing is the air escape. The air escape, I think, is very, very unnecessary. You already have a clash which comes in the second round, and I think it's a good comeback mechanic because there's counterplay to it on multiple levels, and it's something that you only get on your last life bar, and you only get it once. The air escape, while it does take 2 bars of meter, it gets you out of a combo, and sometimes it sets you up to punish the person who actually got the hit on you. And that shouldn't be the case. It just shouldn't be the case. There should be no chance. Once you've already made that wrong decision, and the opponent identified it and was able to hit you for it, the person who did that should be rewarded. You shouldn't have this extra coin flip sitting in there on top of it. I really just feel like it's a completely unnecessary mechanic, and not really a fan. Not really a fan. As far as other mechanics in the game, Clash I still think is fantastic. Stage transitions are really cool. Interactives, I would like them to be a little bit more intuitive in the sense of being able to identify which interactives will be unblockable and which ones won't be. To this day, I don't know if those ones in the Batcave, those ones that are hanging up on the top, I don't know if those are unblockable or not. I have no freaking clue. So I would like them to be a little bit more instantly intuitive as to the properties of those. But I think interactives are fantastic, and I think they've become a staple of the Injustice series. And an Injustice game without interactives would hardly feel like an Injustice game to me. Those are really some of the big things with Injustice 2 as far as like the cons for it. Some of the pros for the game, I really like the game's overall balance. I think that the game was one of the best balanced NRS games by a pretty significant margin. Also, this is a huge thing for Injustice 2, the roster. This was an incredible roster. It really was. There are only just a handful of characters that would make this roster essentially a who's who of DC, a complete DC roster. Only a handful of characters away from that, as far as I'm concerned. And it's going to be very hard for Injustice 3 to top this roster. I very firmly believe that. As far as the future of Injustice, I've said this a million times, I really want a tag mode. I really, really, really want a tag mode so freaking bad. I think it lends itself extraordinarily well to these characters, and not having a tag mode in there just seems like such a missed opportunity. Further than that, I think that NetherRealm has done a really good job in really identifying the importance of good netcode. And so I love that they have continued to really, really push that. And Injustice 3, I have no doubt, is really going to succeed on that front. I'm actually very happy because I feel as though we're going to get an Injustice 3 on a next-gen console. And the ideas for what they could do are just... they're just so insane. And I really feel like we have to get Tag Team now that it's going to be on the next-gen console. I really feel like that's such a strong possibility. But what I really want for a future game, I want them to continue to make Injustice. They did a really good job of making Injustice 2 feel like an evolution of Injustice 1. I would like to see some more meterless combos in Injustice 3, even if they're not doing a lot of damage. I would just like to see their existence in the game. I think it's totally fine that, you know, big damage bread and butters cost meter. That's totally fine with me. But I would like to see the existence of a little bit more combo freedom. It seems as though NRS has kind of gone down this path of reducing the place of combos in their game, and combos are extremely fun for the players. They're also extremely fun for the spectators, and that is something that needs to be addressed when it comes to the Injustice series. A lot of spectators just don't like watching the game, and that definitely does hurt the game's life when people aren't excited by it. So I'd like a little bit more opened up there, but as far as Injustice's future is, I'm very hopeful as long as they continue what they've been doing. I think that they've really kind of shown that they're keeping Injustice as Injustice, and they're genuinely trying, and that is very reassuring to me. Very, very reassuring. Let me know what you are looking forward to in the future of the Injustice series, and also let me know what you thought of Injustice 2 as a game as a whole. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks you guys for watching the series as long as it's been going on. If you have been tuning into them every now and then, I'm continuing to post stuff all the time. I've been trying my best to get into Dragon Ball FighterZ, but it's been tough. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.